So let's compare the Maonocaster G1 Neo versus the Fifine SC3. Now, a lot of YouTubers have some choice words about the Fifine SC3, and I think they're completely wrong. I think they really missed the mark and maybe a little bit jaded. So my name is UK. Let's just jump right into it, shall we? Okay, so before we dive into the Fifine SC3 and the Maonocaster G1 Neo, I just want to talk real quickly about what some of the bigger YouTubers have said about this device. Now, if these guys were reviewing cars and they said the things they said, they would be tossed into the streets with tomatoes thrown at them. The level of nonsense in regards to comparing this product to products that cost more than 10 times the value of this is just absurd. I've seen top tier reviewers who I've looked up to, who I go to for reviews, compare this and say, well, because this doesn't have the same features as a Rodecaster Duo, because you can't assign faders or because you can't do X, Y, and Z, but the Rodecaster Duo does, then they don't recommend this. But let's put that into cars perspective. So a $20,000 2024 Honda Civic versus a $250,000 Lamborghini Gallardo. The Honda Civic doesn't go as fast, so we don't recommend you go out and buy the Honda Civic. That's literally what they're saying, and it is so absurd to me how anybody can compare a $40 audio interface to a $500+ audio interface. It's nonsense. So I'm going to get that right off the bat at the start. Would I recommend the Fifine SC3? Absolutely. And we'll go into detail why right now. Just a heads up, this video is recorded using audio directly from the Fifine SC3. It is going straight into OBS. I'm not going to do anything besides adjust the levels, and that's it. Okay, so jumping down, and you can see the form factor of both of these audio mixers is very similar. So the biggest difference is you're going to have a couple of extra sliders on the Fifine SC3, where you've actually got knobs on the Maonocaster G1 Neo. Now, right off the bat, the Maono is a much newer device. This is only a couple of months old, whereas the SC3, it's been around the block a bit. This thing's been going around for over a year now, and this is one of the best-selling audio interfaces on Amazon for a reason, and we'll get into that in a second. But let's talk about the differences. So with the Maonocaster G1 Neo, there are some standout features that this has over the Fifine SC3. The noise reducer, which is a built-in hardware noise reduction. It's noise cancelling for your microphone. Basically, it's a low pass. So it has this built in, and it has 2 levels of it. It also comes with Bluetooth. So if you're playing music on your phone and you want to bring that into your audio mix, you can Bluetooth this to your phone or any other audio device, bring it in to this device, and then mix it into your OBS or into your Discord, whatever it is you're sending this signal from. One of the other massive differences between the Maonocaster G1 Neo and the Fifine SC3 is the Maonocaster has a sidechain. Now, if you don't know what sidechain is or does, then that probably won't matter to you. This is the effect you get when you listen to the radio and the presenter will talk over some music. The music lowers, the presenter's voice is sharper, clearer, easier to understand. That's essentially sidechain, and it does it automatically. Both of these devices have real-time microphone monitoring, and when we say real-time, there's a slight delay. I've tested these extensively now. There's a slight delay on the Maonocaster G1 Neo. The Fifine SC3, the direct monitoring is closer to real-time than the Maono. They both have voice meters, as you can see on the Fifine. You can see this voice meter. This doesn't really change regardless of what you do with the gain. I'm basically an inch, maybe an inch and a half away from my microphone right now. As you can see, I just turned it up and the voice meter isn't really doing much of anything. I'm almost into the red. I'm almost clipping in OBS and it's still well in the green. So it's good to know that your microphone's on and active, but in terms of an accurate voice meter, both of these devices suffer the same problem there. So with the Fifine, you're going to get the same 48 volt phantom power. You're going to get the same fun little voice changers. So you can do your voice changes for
you know, different male, you can go
female,
robot, and then I think if you
hold it, you turn it off, and then you're back into normal mode there. So they both have the voice changer. The Fifine has an electronic pitch. I'm not a musician. I'm not a singer. I do not use this. I do not know who would use this, and I do not know how accurate this pitch correction is. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the sliders. So the sliders on the Maono have pretty significant dead zones. It's not only until you get up a little bit higher before it actually activates. So the dead zone at the bottom and at the top. These faders, they're a little bit more sensitive, especially around the bottom and the top. So just something to take into account. The faders are a little bit better on the Fifine SC3. They both have direct mute buttons. When you activate the mute, it mutes. And they both have these custom pads for playing back custom sounds with 4 memory banks. These are low quality memory banks, and you will find once you've used them once on either of these devices, you won't really be using them again. The recording quality of these, because it's using the internal memory, and again, this is a $40, $50 mixer, it's not the greatest. So you'll have seen reviews about both of these, and they all pretty much say the same thing. Aesthetically, the Maono has a more modern, updated RGB ring all around the perimeter, whereas the Fifine has the basically the light up keys, and that's it. There's no other RGB. So if RGB is important to you, go ahead and look at the Maono. Footprint wise, actually, before I received the Fifine, I thought it would be a lot bigger just because it's got more sliders, and sliders usually take more room. Not really the case here. The footprint is almost exactly the same. They're very similarly sized little devices, and they have obviously a bunch of different RGB modes, so you can go through and change the light into, you know, whatever kind of aesthetic you're going for. We'll just keep cycling through till we get back to rainbow. So it seems the Maono has a few more of the solid colors before it gets back to the rainbow. In terms of power, I think the preamps are a little bit better on the Fifine. I have my Shure MV7 directly into XLR, and as you can see, I'm not 100% gain. I'm not adding any gain in OBS, and this is quite a difficult microphone to power. I actually used a FET head when I was using the Maonocaster, so I do think the Fifine puts out a little bit more power. I will need to check the spec sheet to double check that, but yeah, we've got quite a bit of headroom here. I feel like if I go up any higher, yeah, I'm starting to peak a little bit, so I'm actually going to bring it down just a touch. So you can see I've got quite a lot of headroom with the Fifine over the Maono. The Maono, I had it cranked all the way up to 10, and it was serviceable, and it powered the Shure MV7, but not quite as much power as the Fifine SC3. So who are these mixers for? Who is buying these mixers, and why are you buying these mixers? Well, everybody's buying the Fifine SC3. It's been on the bestsellers list on Amazon for about a year now. It sells over 1,000 units every month, and it's got above 4.4 star rating. There's a reason for that. The Fifine SC3, as well as the Maonocaster G1 Neo, they fill a gap, a huge gap. And it's something that I think a lot of these bigger YouTubers have become a little bit jaded on, because kids who are looking to get into live streaming, kids who are looking to become YouTubers, kids who are seeing their favorite YouTubers with all of these, you know, fancy audio interfaces and SM7Bs, and they want to get their feet wet with it. That's who this stuff is targeted to. Gamers on Discord who want to just up their audio a little bit. They're always getting shouted at in the middle of a raid because their headset audio is scuffed and nobody can hear them. These products, okay, these $50 microphones, the AM8 that I reviewed recently. So the AM8 from Fifine with the Fifine SC3 is such a fantastic combo for less than $100. Like, truly fantastic. Something else a lot of these reviewers don't take into account, and it kind of stresses me out. Let's talk about inflation. 11 years ago, I bought a Blue Snowball microphone on Amazon. At the time, I paid $79.99 for it. It wasn't a very good microphone. 12 years ago, USB, Blue Snowball microphone, $79.99 on Amazon. Here we are, 12 years later, and you can pick up a Fifine AM8 for about 50 bucks, probably less if you get it on sale. This is infinitely better than that Blue Snowball. It is less than what that Blue Snowball cost me 12 years ago. If you just take a second and think about that, a $79 microphone 12 years ago, adjusted for inflation, that's gotta be around $150. That's gotta be. Companies like Fifine, Maono, all of these companies that are highly competitive, that are churning out all of these pretty cool products that, no, they're not a Rodecaster, but they were never designed to be a Rodecaster. They were designed to fill a massive gap in the market. And the value proposition of something like the AM8 with the SC3 audio mixer or the Maonocaster G1 Neo, how about the PD100X? I could only, in my wildest dreams, imagine getting a microphone that looks this good 12 years ago for 50 bucks. And it sounds better than the Blue Snowball. Obviously, we've come a long way, but in USB mode, it sounds 10 times better than the Blue Snowball does. It's because of companies like Fifine who keep pushing the boundaries, who keep lowering the barrier of entry to getting into this audio gear, to going down this rabbit hole. That's a lot of fun for kids and new content creators and new streamers who want to dip their feet in the water, buy off-the-shelf equipment that's not going to ruin them and bankrupt them, find out that they don't enjoy it, and then they're stuck with all this gear they can't sell on Facebook Marketplace. So with that said, do I recommend the Fifine SC3? 1000%. If you've got a kid and your kid's looking to get into live streaming or YouTubing, or they're on Discord calls and their friends are making fun of how their laptop microphone sounds like, if you invest 100 bucks, actually less, it's probably closer to 90 bucks in a setup like this, a Fifine AM8 and a Fifine SC3, 100 bucks, right? Less than what a Blue Snowball would cost today. They're going to get fantastic audio. It's going to look great on camera. It's going to look great on their desk, and it's going to fulfill all of their needs. They're not looking for audiophile gear. They don't need an SM7B or an MV7. They don't need to go out and spend $1,000 on a microphone, an audio interface, a cloud lifter, a professional stand or tripod. It's not necessary. All of these microphones, they come with a stand, they come with a USB cable, they come with everything in the box. The value proposition is huge. When big YouTubers tell you things like, well, the Maonocaster doesn't do XYZ, but my Rodecaster does, they're idiots. I'm sorry, I didn't want to be mean, but you cannot compare them. You can't compare a $40 audio interface to a $500 audio interface. It's disingenuous, it's misleading. These products fill a massive gap in the audience. They offer fantastic value for money. You can buy them on Amazon, and if you have any problems whatsoever, you just send them back. Why anybody wouldn't recommend these products to newer live streamers, newer YouTubers, kids looking to get into the scene, it's beyond me. Absolutely, go nuts. Buy these products, support these Chinese companies who are at least competing. They're pushing out the envelope, they're bringing the cost down, they're making the barrier to entry easy. Anybody can get into this. Anybody can afford this stuff. And if you have any problems, it's Amazon. You send it back. So I'm going to get off my soapbox. I hope this video was useful. I hope I can guide you into making a better choice when it comes to beginner audio gear, or at least let you understand what's going on in the market, and especially with inflation and some of these negative reviews that are floating out there that make these completely outlandish comparisons to products that just should never be compared against. So I'm going to wrap it up. I've been UK. You've been fantastic. I will see you in the next one.